Good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday, November 4th, and I've asked if you have anything that you want me to discuss in these video blogs, please let me know, and we got one that came in today, and it is a hot button issue. If I thought Social Security was the third rail, I think I'm grabbing about 50 different rails here, but here's the question. I'm going to address it as best I can. Question I got is, I have a topic for you, crisis at the border. There's a labor shortage and supply chain problems as covered in your blogs. What happens when illegal immigrants start to flood the country? Will they take the jobs? Will they take jobs and draw down wages? How does the inflow of illegal immigrants impact the U.S. economy in other ways? Would our government really consider giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to families who are separated at the border under the Trump administration? General questions, but I'm sure there are several other issues that relate to this crisis. Great, really good question, and I'm going to preface this by saying that I don't know the answer to this. I'll just give you some of my thoughts. I'm coming up from it, I'm viewing it through the lens as being here because I had great-grandparents that came through Ellis Island, and I think one of the things that has made this nation unique and vibrant is the fact that we have been this melting pot of different cultures. What's happened, though, is these different cultures have come into this country as they've assimilated into the United States of America. I think one of the things that has made this country amazing and special and unique is that there is not a United States of America because there is a shared religion. There's not a United States of America because there is a shared ethnicity or skin color or anything else. It's not like, French are French and Germans are German and the British are British and Japanese are Japanese, et cetera, et cetera. Well, the glue that has always held America together has been this shared sense of cultural values, this shared sense of purpose that the country has had. We've had waves of immigration in the past, and I think that in many cases they brought some of the best of their cultures with them as they've come in. My dad's side of the family came in from Eastern Europe, and obviously they brought some great contributions to the country, as have most people that have arrived here in the United States. And so I'm looking at it through a lens. That's what makes us unique. That's what's kept our culture vibrant and moving forward and not static. We've got constant influx of new ideas. So I'm going to look at it through that. But what you're asking me is the economic consequence and how this impacts investing. Well, I think that there's two ways to look at this. And one is, I'm going to give you the pros first. The fact that we have a lower cost, I'm just going to be very blunt about this, that you have a lower cost labor supply coming in. It does a couple things. It gives big companies, potentially, some inexpensive labor, and it also will effectively keep wages on that lower end of the skill set probably down. So Chamber of Commerce probably loves that stuff. The negative of that is that I think for some of these, some communities in our country that are marginalized, that have income pressures anyway, you're bringing in this case this year, probably in excess of 2 million people that are going to compete for those low-wage jobs. So it makes that $15 minimum wage that everyone would like to see a much harder thing to have happen in this country. So then what you create, and this is what I think is the danger of all this that's happening. Again, looking at it through the lens of new ideas, vibrancy, this ability to take the best of other cultures, assimilate it into the U.S. value system, I think is incredibly powerful and important. It's driven the success of this country over the years. But there has to be an assimilation into the U.S. values. And what does concern me now is I don't know that most Americans know what those values are. I don't know that we have the same sense of shared civic purpose, civic duty that we may have had in the past. And so at a time where the country itself is very divided, now we're bringing in a lot of other ideas. And I think that could be a possible negative. But from a purely economic and financial perspective, here is my concern, is for business to work, for people to feel comfortable investing, for people to make big decisions about the future, that demands a certain degree of stability in the legal system. You have to know when you make a contract that contract will be executed or there'll be recourse to do that. You've got to have some idea that rules and laws exist, because then you can begin to design your business and design your life around them. I think a major thing that's a negative about this crisis that you have at the border right now is that for right or wrong, you have some Americans thinking, well, why does the law apply here and the law doesn't apply here? And the problem is then when that happens, you begin to force the creation of two different economies. One of the things also that's made the United States incredibly successful is we've had a very forward, very transparent economy. You have countries like Pakistan, for example, where in excess of 90%, last I read, of that economy is underground, meaning it's a black market essentially. Their national economy is almost a black market. Well, you can't raise taxes on a black market. You can't use that money coming into the national coffers to build roads, bridges, do all these big things that are talked about in Washington, D.C. And so anything that I think that you put a chink, you put a crack in that rule of law, where you have one group of people here that may be violating laws, whether you think those laws are just or not. You've got then you take the natural recourse and to get those laws changed or amended or whatever it might be. But you can't have one group of people where one set of laws exists and another group of people where a different set of laws exists. And increasingly, to me, as I look at this, like, first of all, a huge degree of compassion for the people that you see pouring in here, because they're coming here for a reason. They're coming here because of the perception, and in most cases, the reality that life here in the United States is pretty amazing and pretty good. But there's got to be a process. There's got to be an orderly process. And I think that's hugely, hugely important. So the economic, if you talk about economics to the United States, Chamber of Commerce crowd will probably say unfettered immigration is great, drives the cost of wages down, increases corporate profitability. The people that are impacted by those wages being driven down would say, wait a second, not so fast. You're impacting my life directly. And so and you can read, as I did, I was Googling some articles before I decided to do this. You can read different stories about the economic benefits of immigration versus the economic consequences of immigration. And I don't, quite frankly, I read these things, I don't know which numbers to believe. So let's say it's economically neutral. I don't know that it is or not, but let's just say that might be the case. I think the bigger thing that we need to address in this country is we have to have some shared civic values, a shared civic purpose, and I do think it's really, really important that we're all abiding by the same set of laws. And so I didn't answer your question there. Thank you for it. It's a hot button issue. Really hope I didn't either make anybody angry or offend anybody with these topics or this conversation. But it was asked, and I want to do my best to try to answer these questions. So I think that moving forward, any questions like this are fair game. I'll do my best to answer them. But thanks for the question. And in terms of what this impact is going to be to the financial markets, at this point, probably negligible. I don't think that what's happening on the southern border right now impacts the price of Microsoft, for example. But I am concerned about what it does to the fabric of the country and to the rule of law. But I'll leave it with that. Good topic, and definitely one that is timely, and some people may have some interest in. But thank you for the question, and hopefully I can address more of those in the future.